Now let me show you on how to combine two data sets. If you have two data sets, how do you combine that? Right, that is what we will be doing now. There are two data sets, one is plasma, another is diabetes. If you do a drop down from text file, let me select plasma first. Yeah, here we go. So here we have the data plasma. We have these columns in the data. Always we need to double check on whether heading information is yes or no. Here it is yes. And the name of the dataset will become the default name. So let me import this. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 columns. And we have 14 entries here. This is one dataset. Another dataset which we want to, look at is diabetes. So let me import that also. Here we have diabetes. Notice this. In plasma dataset, by default heading information was yes. Here it is no. Why is that so? Here if you look at the column names, you have a number in that, 2-hour. So you have a number in the column header, right? Whenever you have numbers, R would assume that this is also a row. Rather than assuming that this is a column name, it would treat this as a row. Hence, this is considered as a row entry, and your V1, V2, V3 as your column names. So if you just check the radio option yes, it will fix the issue for us. Now it has chosen this as the column names. Now let me import the dataset. So we have 3 columns and 14 entries. So in both of the data sets, the number of row entries is the same. The number of columns vary. So in addition to these 4 columns, if you want to add these 3 columns, so in total it will be 4 columns plus 3 columns, which would be 7, right? Both have 14 entries. Here also you have 14 entries. Here also you have 14 entries. So if you try to combine these two, you have to use a function called column bind, because I'm binding it using columns. Here we have 4 columns. I'm adding another 3 columns from diabetes. Hence we are doing a column bind. We are trying to bind it using column. Yeah. So I'm using a cbind function. I'm trying to bind these 2 data sets, and I'm assigning it to an object called cc. Let me run this. There we go. If you see cc here, it has 14 observations and 7 variables. 4 variables are from plasma, another 3 are from diabetes. So if I click on this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you have 14 entries. Now, the next question might be on what if I have unequal rows? Then how do I combine? Right? So let me use a broomstick to remove this. Let me do a Control L to clear the console. Here we are going to look into 2 data sets, our underscore transaction underscore data, and see how to combine if we have unequal rows. So let me load these 2 data sets into R. So we have our transaction here. Let me load that. So the moment I input, I'll come to know about the dimensions of that. It has 3 observations and 9 variables. It has 9 columns and 3 rows. Fine. Now let me also try to input the other data set, which is transaction underscore data. transaction underscore data. Here we go, transaction underscore data. So if I input this, we have 6 observations and 9 variables. So you have 6 rows and 9 columns. If you notice here, the number of columns are the same in our underscore transaction and transaction data. However, if you look at the number of observations, they are different. Here you have 6 and here you have 3. So if you want to combine 2 data sets with equal number of columns, we have 9 columns in each, right? But you have unequal rows. If you have equal columns and unequal rows, and if you want to combine these 2 data sets, the function which we have to use is rbind, row bind. So we are doing a row bind of these 2 data sets and assigning the output to an object called CR. There we go. Click on this. You still have 9 columns, but you have successfully combined this 8, 9, 10, which is coming from here, 8, 9, 10. And you have combined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your transaction data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how we combine 2 data sets with equal columns but unequal rows. Now you might have another question. What would happen if these 2 data sets are different? These 2 data sets have different rows and columns altogether, or different column names altogether. When I say different columns, different rows, then we are going to cover all the various scenarios in that. In order to explain that, let me once again use a broomstick to remove the entries. And now we are going to look into 2 data sets called all transactions and credit data. Let me first load all transactions. Wait, we have all transactions. Yep, here we have. So this specific data set called all transactions, when I load that, you see that there are 9 observations and 10 variables. So you have 9 rows and you have 10 columns, right? Let me close all the previous ones. Okay. Now we have something called as credit data, right? So let me input credit data also. There we go. We have 5 observations and 4 variables. So you have 5 rows and 4 columns. So here we have unequal rows and columns. If you look at the column names are different here. Here also you have different column names. But if you want to combine these 2 tables or these 2 data sets, at least one column name should be the same. So you have a customer ID here. You also need to have a customer ID here. At least one column has to be the same to be able to combine these 2 data sets. Now if we try to combine these 2, the function to be used is merge. Now let me merge these 2 data sets and let me assign it to some object. There we go. Right. Now if you look at this, we have only 5 rows. But here we have 9 rows and here we have 5 rows. 9 plus 5, 14 is what you might be assuming, but look at what happens. It is going to try to find a match. Here we have customer ID 1. Do we have a customer ID 1 here? We do not have. So there is no match. So the merge will not happen. Hence if you look at this data, in the customer ID you do not have a 1 there. Customer ID 2. Do we have a customer ID 2 in the other data set also? Yes, we have. So there will be a connection established. And here we have customer ID 2 and all the values corresponding to that. Here we have a customer ID 3. Do we have a customer ID 3 here? Yes, we have. So there will be a merge which will happen. You see a customer ID 3 there. We have a customer ID 4. Do we have the same 4 here? We don't have. So there won't be any merge. It is similar to your SQL script. But here, corresponding to customer ID 1, you have gender, state, cardholder, balance, number of transactions, so on and so forth. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements. But just because there is no match in another data set, why do you want to remove the complete customer ID 1? If that is your logic, oh yes, you can use this function with a small tweak. You can add an argument called all equal to true. If you run it in this way, now if you look at this, you will see that all the values are merged, but for customer ID 1, you do not have a customer ID 1 here. Hence for fake ID underscore cardholder and fake ID underscore balance, you will have NA values, NA, NA, and NA. Now, if you do a simple summation of CTWOD, that's your dataset name, dollar fake ID cardholder, fake ID cardholder. If you do a simple summation of this, if you're assuming that it will add 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4 plus 1 5 plus 1 6, and if you're assuming that the output should be 6, it won't be 6. The end result will be NA because you have NAs there. So if you do a summation of CTWOD, dollar fake ID cardholder, if you run this, you get an NA. Right. What if I do not want NA? I want to remove these NA values and then calculate the summation. If that is your logic, then you can simply use summation of this, comma, NA.remove equal to true. Now it's going to exclude those NAs and then provide you the summation, which is 6. This is how it works. All right. Let us discuss about array. If I'm printing numbers 1 until 30, if I just select this 1 colon 30 and run that, you see that the numbers 1 until 30 are printed in a sequence. If I want to arrange these numbers in 5 rows, 3 columns, and 2 tables, that is how it's written here. 5 rows, 3 columns, and 4 tables, right? Or rather I'll say 2 tables. And if I want to assign the output to an object called B, right? Let us see what happens. Now if I call B, you see that the 30 numbers, you see that these 30 numbers are arranged in first rows. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, then columns, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We wanted 3 columns, so we have 3 columns there. We wanted 5 rows, so you have 5 rows there. And we wanted 2 tables, hence we have 2 tables, table 1 and table 2. C stands for combine, right? In different scenarios, it means different things. If you use it as a standalone value and assign it to an object, yes, it's combining. If you're trying to use it as an argument within a function called array, then it's rows, columns, and tables. So in different sense, it means different. Now, if you say this object B And if you do not mention anything, that means you want all the rows. 2:3 means you want second and third columns. And blank space here means you want all the tables. So if I run this, there we go. So what do we want? We want all the rows. So you want all the 5 rows, but you want second and third column there. And you want all the tables. So you have both the tables there.